Hey everyone, welcome back to Sweet Beat TV. I'm your host, Sienna Leone, and we caught up with country superstar Ashley Cooke. Ashley Cooke talks all things about her new music, going on her Shot in the Dark tour, teaming up with some of the biggest country artists in the world, Stagecoach, and so much more. You will not want to miss this interview. Stay tuned.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm a massive fan of you guys as well. So this is very, very exciting, very full circle. I love it.
Oh, very full circle, exactly. Now, Ashley, I want to dive in here because I have genuinely been a fan of you ever since, the early days. I think I found you on TikTok at the very start and I was like, this girl is going to be a star. So, Ashley, for everyone at home, can you take us back a little bit about, how you got into this music industry and using TikTok as that tool to help you kind of get to where you are today?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for following me for so long. That really means a lot. I've had kind of a crazy story. I've been in music, writing and performing since I was 11 years old. I kind of grew up in it. I loved touring around the country and performing and singing. And I lived in LA for a little while, and that was kind of a part of the journey and entertainment, kind of just all where the mecca of entertainment has been started. And so I always loved it. It was always a passion of mine. And then when I moved to college, I went to college here in Nashville, Tennessee, at a school called Belmont University. And obviously Nashville's music city, so everybody's just kind of surrounded by music 24/7. And I didn't study music at Belmont. I studied marketing and communications, so nothing to do with music at all. But the school is so, they dominate in music. And it's such an amazing music school. So many people that are in music have come from that school. And so I was immediately kind of surrounded by it. And so my senior year, I applied for this thing called the Country Showcase, which people like Brad Paisley and Florida Georgia Line had won at Belmont as well. So I applied for it, having no idea if I'd even get in, and I made top 4, and then I won the competition. And I told myself, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself a year to just try music out full time. I was debating going into the marketing world or a totally different kind of era of my life. And I was like, okay, well, I won this competition. It feels like it's kind of, lending itself to allow me to try this for a year. And so I decided to give it a shot for a year. And that was in 2019, 2020 timeframe. And as we all know, 2020 kind of the world, went to hell. And so it was crazy. And so I was like, okay, I can't really play shows or, go write songs in rooms with other people or go to bars and make people do all of the new artist stuff. And so I got on TikTok, on social media, and started posting videos kind of out of nothing else to do. I was like, okay, I might as well just start posting videos and post my original songs and some covers and go live and just see what happens. And all of a sudden this massive following started to kind of happen seemingly overnight, it felt like. And now we're here, and all of this crazy stuff has happened since then because of social media and the journey to get there. So it's a little backstory.
I mean, now we're here. We have a debut album, Shot in the Dark. This is one of the largest debut albums by a female country artist to date. So when you hear that, and when you have some of the biggest publications writing about this album, deeming you one of the largest emerging country artists, tell me about the feeling.
It's really special. I think, like I said, I've been in music since I was 11, and I always dreamed of getting to do this. And so having, major publications and people that I respect and writers that I've always looked up to and artists that I just have loved for so long, having them all kind of say, I think you're next in line. I think you got this. This album is super, super great. You're so talented. You have a natural stage presence. People telling me these things. It's really cool. And it kind of just solidifies the passion that I've had for this for so long. So I'm very fortunate that I get to do this and that I have such an amazing community of Nashville and just the music industry, behind me, kind of rallying behind me to help me get to the next steps.
Right. I mean, wow. I just as I said that, as those words came out of my mouth, I just got full body chills for you. So it's a really amazing moment, especially like you said, working at this craft, working at this passion since 11 years old. I mean, wow, it really is a full circle moment. But looking at Shot in the Dark album, tell me about this album.
It's a really special album. Honestly, I did not plan on having a 24-song debut album. It was a very crazy thing that happened. I've been a songwriter since day one, right? I've always loved writing. It's kind of my therapy, my free therapy. And so I started writing for this album, and I was writing song after song after song, and all of a sudden we had like 50, 60 songs to work from, to pull from. And I was like, okay, like this is gonna be tough to narrow down. But we whittled it down to about 24 songs, and I was like, there's nothing on this album that I want to take off. Like it all feels like so me, and so what I want to say, and just it flows so well. And so I'm very proud of it. I chose the title Shot in the Dark because I feel like a lot of my career up to this point has been a shot in the dark, and also just like being a young artist, so much of what we do is a shot in the dark. It feels so like, hey, here's my heart and soul in 24 songs, and if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too, you know? And so it kind of feels like throwing something and seeing how people receive it. But you know, I'm really proud of it. It feels like me through and through, and so many stories are told, and I'm excited for people to keep listening to it and keep letting me know how they feel about it too.
I mean, to say you wrote 60 songs and then around 50 to 60 songs and then narrowed it down to 24, that's not an easy process in itself, right? So I want to know, where was most of your inspiration pulled from? Was it real life stories? Was it friendships, relationships? Tell me about where you got all this inspiration for so many songs.
Most of it was from personal experience. I think, you know, as an artist, I search for inspiration in everything that I possibly can. You know, through breakups, through relationships, through family stuff, through career. Like, you know, my song It's Been a Year, that song was pulled just from so many personal experiences of just the craziness of the last like year or so in my life, and signing my first record deal, and my grandparents, I hadn't seen them in a long time, and I walked into the writing room that day and I was like, oh wow, it's been exactly a year since I've seen my grandparents. And that was like a really cool, you know, sad revelation in my brain, because I've been so busy with life. And there's a lot about, honestly, just kind of being in my 20s, and this age is a very confusing time, in the best way. It feels like, you know, for example, the last song on the album is called State I'm In. And that song I wrote about, you know, being in such a different phase of life than a lot of my friends. Like, my best friend is in California right now, about to have her first baby with a house, and just got married. And I'm on the road touring, you know, in a van with my band, just having a good time, playing shows, chasing a dream. And so it's like we're the same exact age, but we have such different worlds. And so that's just, you know, a couple examples of where I pulled from for these songs. But it really is me through and through, exactly how I feel, all of my, you know, experiences from the last year or so, just put to music and put on an album.
And looking at some of the features you have on Shot in the Dark, I mean, Brett Young, I die for. Okay, Jackson Dean, I die for. Nate Smith, Colbie Calliet, like these are people I grew up and just related to in their music, where for me personally, and I feel like I could speak for many people watching this, they've taken me through, you know, different paths of my life and been there for me. So tell me about how you came up with these amazing artists being featured on this album.
I'm so excited about all these features. They are so amazing. So Brett Young and I, Never Till Now came about. I had put out a version of Never Till Now without a feature on it. And then I was like, you know what? So many people are loving this song and posting their stories to it, and loving, you know, the fact that it kind of says their story, that I want to give another voice to that story. And Brett was the perfect feature. He was just, I mean, we've been on tour now together twice. So he's really great. He's been like the best like mentor and friend along the way. Jackson and Nate both, they became really great friends of mine throughout the kind of young artists, like radio circuit, playing shows together, seeing each other all the time at like award shows, and just always kind of running into each other. And both of their voices I'm obsessed with. And I was like, okay, both of these men have some of the best voices I've ever heard. They're so great. They become great friends of mine. And I was like, I really want to kind of merge our art together for this first project, and they were very excited and willing to do that. So it's been fun to get to kind of like hang out with my friends in the midst of all of the album stuff, which has been a really, really great time. And then Colbie, I have loved Colbie Calliet since I was a kid. I love her so much. She's so incredible. The biggest compliment I've ever received is growing up, people would say, well, you're from the coast of California and Florida, like you sing country music, you have a kind of similar songwriter, storyteller vibe to Colbie Calliet. And I was like, thank you. Like, I like love that compliment, because she is just so incredible. And so I was always, I always dreamed of getting to work with her. And we set up a writing session, and I was, pumped about that, just to get to write with her. And I walked in the room and I was like, man, guys, I had this idea for a song. The song idea is called Mean Girl. And when I walked in, my idea for the song was a completely different concept, like had nothing to do with the actual song that's on the record now. But we were all just kind of talking in the room. It was myself, Jimmy Robbins, Nicole Gallion, and Colbie Calliet, who they're incredible writers and just amazing human beings. And we get down, and me and Jimmy, my producer, and I start talking about my ex-boyfriend. And he told me that he has a new girlfriend. And I was like, oh man, like, you know, he never treated me very well. So I was like, you know, I hope that he maybe treats her better, but I wish that I could warn her about what I experienced, and I would never reach out. I would never like disrespect a relationship that way, but I wish I could just use this time, this art, to like write a song about a letter to a new girl. And he was like, well, why don't we just use that as the idea for Mean Girl? And Colbie loved that idea. So we ended up writing the second verse to kind of have her, Colbie, be like the new girl in the song, and it became a conversation between the ex and the new girl about this guy. And so it ended up really being special, and I feel like our voices blend together so well on it, and it's a very, very full circle dream moment to get to collaborate with her, and also on a song that is so personal to me and came from such a cool place that day that we wrote it.
I love the backstory behind this, because me as a fan of you and your art, I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. This is so, I'm loving the backstory. I could sit on here and talk backstories of your songs all day. But you know, Ashley, when you look at these artists and how much respect they have for you and your craft, I mean, you're touring with Bryan, who really is one of the biggest celebrities, country artists in the world today. So, you know, tell me about this experience as well. I mean, Bryan, hello.
It's been insane, honestly. I mean, one of my first country concerts that I ever went to was Bryan. And whenever somebody asks me about like my bucket list, you know, place to perform, it's this amphitheater in South Florida where I grew up, and my first concert there was a Bryan, Jason Aldean concert.
Right.
So I remember being in the crowd. It was like downpouring rain, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to do exactly what he does. And I remember just watching him work a stage, perform, make everybody feel like they're just having the best time of their life. And I remember sitting there, and I was, I think, like 14 or 15 at the time, and I was like, that's what I want to do. That's it right there. And so I wouldn't shut up about Bryan for like literally years. I was so obsessed with him. I thought he was so talented. I was always dreaming of getting to work with him in some capacity. So the fact that I get to tour with him now, like every couple weekends, it's nuts. It's a massive tour. It's so much fun. You know, some nights I'm direct, which is like right before him, and it's really cool to get to learn from him and learn from his band, and just get to really, you know, play his crowds and be on that stage where I remember looking at when I was a kid in the lawn. And I remember in my set, I say a lot about the lawn and how it's so cool to like be up here now when I was there so many years ago. So it's very special. It's very cool. I'm very honored that he chose me to be a part of this tour, and hopefully another tour at some point soon.
So tell me quickly, how did Bryan break it to you that you were going on tour with him?
It wasn't him directly. It was my team. But I remember we were sitting in my management office, and they were like, hey, so do you want to go on tour with Bryan? What? There's a video of it online somewhere, because I was like, there's no way. Like, I cannot believe that he's the artist I get to tour with. So it was very special, and we've become great friends on the road. He's so great. He's such a cool mentor and such a cool friend. There's never not a good time with Luke. Even when he was sick a couple weeks ago and he like, you know, was really kind of under the weather, he still just put on a damn show and had the best time, had a whole party on stage. He's one to learn from for sure, and I'm glad that I get to be in the student seat for that.
So you just recently announced a 24-stop headlining tour, Shot in the Dark tour. You are going 24 stops. So tell me, what do you think going on tour, opening for Bryan, is gearing you up and teaching you for you to go on your own headlining tour?
It's really fun this phase of my career, because I get to go from, you know, Bridgestone Arena, which is right here in Nashville, this massive arena, and play this big room and open up. And then I also get to go and play a smaller bar in a city with people screaming their faces off to every single song. So it's really fun, because I feel like I'm in this kind of like middle area, which is a really fun place to be, because I get to do both of it. I think the crowds are very different. You know, in a headline room, everybody's there screaming every single word to the entire album, and it is magical. Like, there are some videos that I posted on social media recently that if you want to go watch them, you can. It's so cool, especially because I've opened up for a lot of people the last couple of years, and it's been a lot of fun to get to open up and kind of prove myself to those crowds. In a lot of ways, you're kind of trying to earn their respect. You're trying to earn their attention because you're the opening band and they're coming to see the headliner, right? Which is so much fun. I love it. It's a challenge for me, and I love, like, you know, getting to know people along the way. But headline shows are so different. They're a different breed because everybody is just packed in there. It's hot, it's sweaty, but it's so much fun because everybody's just there to have a good time and celebrate the fact that we've made it this far and that they've followed me along this journey. It's really, really fun. It's so special. I hope you can make a headline show at some point soon because they're so much fun.
I mean, I will be there whenever you say, hey, you want to come out? I will be there. But you have hit so many milestones that we've just talked about. But to wrap here, Stagecoach lineup just announced. And as one of the biggest country artist fan, country music fan, this is one of the best lineups, headliners to performers I have genuinely ever seen in the Stagecoach, you know, lineup to date. And for you to be on the Stagecoach lineup, wow. Tell me about this.
I'm so excited. I've heard about Stagecoach, looked at Instagram videos my entire life. I feel like I've always seen this festival and wanted to play it. I've never even been as a, you know, viewer. I've never been a Stagecoach, and I am so excited to get to play this stage. I mean, you look at the lineup, it's insane. Like, I'm pumped. Like, Post Malone, are you kidding me? It's gonna be so cool. And Morgan and Eric Church and Party. I mean, it's gonna be a really, really fun time. And also Sunday, the day that I get to play, that lineup's absolutely insane. So, and it's also, you know, I'm signed to Big Loud. A lot of those artists are also signed to Big Loud. So we're all a big family. Big Loud family, and so it's gonna be really, really fun. It's gonna be a time for the books for sure.
I, as someone that's been going to Stagecoach for years, it is truly the best time of the year. And just when this lineup got announced a few weeks ago, my mouth dropped to the floor. This is the best lineup I have genuinely seen, and I'm so excited you're on it. But who are you looking forward to seeing? Is there someone in specific you're like, oh my goodness, I need to talk to them, I need to get a selfie, I need to watch them perform, ask them to collab? Who would that be? That's a loaded question. That's a loaded question.
I mean, I saw Nate Smith is on my day and we have a song together, so maybe we'll do a song together. But I mean, I'm already great friends with Nate. Who am I like dying to meet? Let's see. I think Leon Bridges is super cool. Also, I just love Post Malone. I think Post Malone's like one of the coolest guys. I saw him actually at Bonnaroo in 2019. I saw him perform and I thought he was so unique and so cool. You know, obviously they're the ones that are not really in our genre, but they're getting to be, which is going to be so much fun. I think to me those are the ones that I'm excited to really meet, because it's like, man, like, in what other world would I really get to meet these people? Because they're not in our genre. They're not in our world in that sense. So I'd love to meet Post. I'd love to do something with him at some point. I think it'd be really cool to like kind of branch the worlds together. And also Wiz Khalifa, like, that's gonna be so sick. I'm gonna be at that after party through and through, like, absolutely.
I just absolutely admire you. I admire what you do in this industry, and you know, from watching you literally from the TikTok early days, I've seen you as an artist kind of come out of your shell, and you've blossomed, and I'm so proud I just got to talk to you. And when I look back on this interview in 5 years, I'm gonna tell whoever, if I have a boyfriend or my brother has kids, I'm gonna be like, I sat down with the Ashley Cooke, because I believe in you. So many people in this industry believe in you, and thank you for everything you do, and thank you so much for your time today.
You are so kind. Thank you so much. I hope to see you at some point soon in person.
We will definitely be meeting in person, and if it's not sooner than Stagecoach, it will most definitely be Stagecoach. But for everyone at home, if you want to go support Ashley, go follow her at Ashley Cooke. You can find her on TikTok, Instagram, all the social medias, and also go support her album, Shot in the Dark album. And she is gearing up for her 24-stop headlining tour, so make sure you guys don't miss her. Ashley Cooke, thank you so much for your time today. We'll see you soon.
So much. I'll see you soon.